What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stillwaggon Symposium. Honored to have one of Big Brother's legends on the show, James Rhine. He's been doing a lot of these podcasts, but I got a unique set of questions to ask him today, change it up a little bit. So what's going on, man? How's everything?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
First off, I wanted to say, I follow you on Twitter. I find you fucking hilarious just following along during each episode of Big Brother. I've been watching every season since it started because that was just something that me and my mom did to, connect as I was like a kid, and then it just, it grew every season. And I felt
I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, of course. And Survivor, we watched Survivor as well, but Big Brother was just always my favorite because you didn't get as much of it, and you had to wait for the summer. So it was just always a big thing, but it was exciting. And the first couple of seasons kind of whack, whatever. But then season 6 came along, and I feel like with that new house, I guess it was, they completely, you guys changed the game the way that the game played out. And this season it's been totally different with how far the game has come. It's very disappointing, and obviously, I think you had mentioned on Russell Hansen's show that everyone pre-games in the show, I guess, to some capacity. At least this season, because it was an AllStars season. But one thing I wanted to just quickly jump in with was, I know you guys had MySpace and shit in your days, but it just it wasn't the same. Even though you went in with your girlfriend at the time.
Season 6, yeah.
Yeah, it's still, I feel like the game has changed because everyone knows each other at this point, and not only that, there's been so many seasons of trying to figure out a strategy, whereas it was a lot more new when you guys played, so it just made it a lot more fun to watch. And you couldn't really pregame for that, at least the first time you were on. The season after, maybe, but...
When people talk about the pre-gaming, Dr. Will came out in that interview and really shit on this alliance for pre-gaming, but Dr. Will pre-gamed with all of us, so I found that was kind of, it's Dr. Will, he's always playing to the fans,
right.
And which is usually not reality. But for example, why do you think Kaysar didn't go after Chilltown, his head of household in AllStars? Why do you think Janelle never went after them? Because, these were pre-game alliances. Why I wanted to split them up. I didn't trust both of them. I didn't trust both of them in the house together. I wanted to get rid of one of them because I knew whichever one I got rid of, the other one would stick with Danielle Reyes, and she was ride or die with me forever. So everyone had these alliances. I had alliances with Jace and Allison and Diane and obviously season 6 people and Chilltown. I had known Marcella, so I knew that, he'd be good with me, and I kind of knew Erica, and I thought she'd be good. So there's always pre-gaming. The thing is, in AllStars, the first time, that first day they did that meteor competition where people had to knock the other person off. So you saw where there was some loyalty line.
Right.
But now with this one, there were so many things they could have done to split up these alliances or to break it open, but I don't think production thought that these people would win 8 weeks in a row. I keep saying that if they ever do AllStars again, they need to do teams. Producers are going to know who's pre-gaming. They should really ask people, because we need to work it into the storyline, which is legitimate concern. And some people will give it and some people won't. And it's work that into show, then do teams. You have 4 teams of 4. And for 2 weeks, you can't nominate someone from your original team.
Exactly.
And I think that would be such a better successful strategy because then you're forcing people to create in-game decisions and not fall back on, and some teams are going to be back and forth we can't win head of household because we don't want to nominate da-da-da-da-da. But it's going to split things up, and instead of being able to nominate 16 people, your choices are going to be down to, essentially probably only 4, and that's going to fuck with everybody else's. And it's literally... I just think there were so many things they could have done to make this a more exciting season. But none of us, like I said, expected someone to win 8 alliance win 8 head of households in a row.
Oh yeah, I mean that alliance is annoying at this point. The fact that
It's annoying, but it's incredibly dominant.
I'm impressed, but at the same point in time, as watching the show, it's like you want to see something else happen. Obviously, these people as players want to win the money, so they're not going to give a fuck what the people out there think as long as they're winning and being respectful to some degree. But as a fan and someone who hasn't actually played, I'm like, damn, like these people are too good versus like again this other side. We've seen like in previous seasons, like what was it, season 11 with Kevin's season, where it was the jocks and like the nerds and all whatever, and in that season it kind of played out where like Jeff hated Russell and who else was on Jesse and
Oh yeah.
and they couldn't go against each other, even though right away they wanted to put one another out. And
Like coaches season as well, so
I was
there's
gonna
things
bring that up
that they've done. There's things that they've done that they could have implemented. And first of all, this is the season it would have been so good to bring someone back. When you saw this dominant alliance, whether they were created in the house or whether they were created before the house, this is the time you allow to bring someone back. I just don't understand why that wasn't worked into it. It's not like they didn't have the facilities, so.
What I said on Twitter to you a couple of times at the beginning of the season was, man, I wish that they would have brought back like majority of that Sovereign Six alliance, maybe 4 members, and then it would have been that this season I feel like would have played out much differently. Maybe at least, obviously old school seems like they always have that target on their back, but as a fan from the beginning, I love old school so much more just because I feel like the game was just so much more new, so you just got more authenticity out of it, where now it just feels so forced and fake. And like obviously because I've been watching from day one, I'm going to keep watching, but it's just not as enjoyable nowadays. And I feel like the personalities that you get on there versus like you have people like Kaysar in season 6 and 7, and like you're just so drawn to that because like nowadays the people that they get on there nowadays aren't the same. They're not enjoyable, and they just follow the herd, and they don't want to kind of think for themselves a little bit, and that's why I feel like season 19 gets that bad rap with Cody and Jessica. But I mean, as vicious as they were, you can't hate them because they were at least.
I would have been pissed too if I was Cody and I had to nominate fucking 17 people the first week, and Paul was saved because of some stupid ass power. That thing is, people talk a lot of shit about Cody, but Cody did exactly what any of the fans are complaining about now.
Exactly.
The fan base is never going to be happy. That's one thing that we just have to come to terms with. Which is why a lot of us, if I were to go back, I'm not really giving too many shits about what Twitter says about me.
Yeah.
Because not making any money off Twitter, but there's a lot of things they just could have done in order to mix up this game. The power should have been reversed. All those powers about playing head of household again and, voiding a nomination, all those should have been the first ones. These other things about the safety, now is when the safety suite should have been put into effect, or essentially the safety suite should have gone into effect week 4, because that's when it's going to force people to kind of choose or really put their faith in someone. Because think about it, like if you have the safety suite going on week 4, week 5, people are starting to get worried. Okay, maybe my alliance, this is when they're going to start turning on, because everybody has to turn on each other eventually, and if people are already questioning, let's say Danny, because people remember when the week Kaysar went home when they thought about putting her up. If safety suite would have been an option, I think it would have been something she had competed for. So I'm just saying they could have done so many different things to kind of mix it up, and the powers being reversed, I think would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
So I'm playing head of household twice in the beginning is a lot more important to the show. Not personally. Personally, it's better later on in the game, but to the show, I think it would have kind of just mixed things up a little bit, and they could have done stuff. But also, to your point of the house guests now, they kind of get that they don't want to be the outspoken. They don't want to be the gamer. They don't want to be the competitor. They want to be the person with the catchphrase, or they want to be the person, who plays practical jokes on people. They want to become memes instead of competitors. And it's very unfortunate. The show needs to shorten. It should essentially be 60 days, I think, for a regular season. But here's the make it 60 days of filming and then air it while they're out of the house. I think a lot more people, especially older people and, potential competitors that don't give a fuck about being, an Instagram influencer or a million views on TikTok, you're going to have those people go in if they're going to be able to watch the show as it unfolds. Of course, that gets rid of the live feeds component, which maybe that makes a lot of money for CBS. They have to do something. Shortening the season would be one. If people are able to talk about and interact with the fans on a regular basis outside because they're watching it like, a Survivor, I think that would definitely be something. And without the live feeds, you're going to have a lot more people willing to go on, but I can't imagine that it really generates that much revenue for CBS to where they have to keep this component.
The fees have been so trashy this season too, just because they don't have a full production team, I guess, on. So they got one guy running around back there trying to fucking do everything. So it's
no fucking sense.
It constantly is on the stars. So I gave up on it. I don't even watch it anymore. I mean, I've been watching obviously the live show, and I'm in like some Big Brother super fans group on Facebook, so I'm able to like keep up with shit that's going on. Plus that the Big Brother updates, I think, on Twitter, it gives you like everything that goes on. So I mean, you don't even necessarily need the live feeds. Sure, those people keep up with it. So go ahead. What were you gonna say?
CBS could you make a 60-day season. You could technically, all the live feeds are recorded anyways. Why not just record them and then play them back in real time?
Exactly.
Then essentially you wouldn't have to blurt out a lot of different things and go to fishes or adoptables or whatever the fuck they're called. It's recorded on a server regardless. Just play the thing back in real time.
Yeah.
Why not? Then you can play all the other things that they normally they cut out. Why not?
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's actually not a bad idea.
When you were on, they had live feeds, right? I was pretty young at the time. I think I was, 14 or 15. So,
but yeah, we had live feeds. But you got to think, YouTube was in its genesis back in 2006 when we were on AllStars. If you go back now and you find the shows on YouTube, like the older platforms, it's like not high def. It's just kind of garbage. For the ones that were actually, recorded way back then. Granted, people have taken it and put it on there now, where it's not bad. But
yeah, I couldn't even find an HD picture of you on from your season on like this one of these. You can't even see this, I think.
No, so anyway. CBS doesn't even go back to season 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on their website. I tried to find old house pictures that they used to have on there, and they've gotten rid of them all.
Yeah.
I feel like with this show, it's been such a good moneymaker, and the costs are cut so low that CBS really doesn't care. Let's think. This is like the Ford Focus of their lineup. Like, it's not great. You'd rather have if you're going to have entry level, you'd rather have like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry or some shit like that. But it does its purpose. It's not really that reliable, but it's like, whatever. It's what we can afford. They literally just put out this garbage instead of really taking care of it. A lot of times, like, Julie says shit sometimes where you're like, she's not watching the show. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You have stuff like that. You have the fact that it's 2020 and I can't go back and find seasons older than, I think, 13 on their website. Like the CBS Big Brother site, you can't find the first All-Star song. How does that make sense?
Which was such a better season than this one is now, too.
But it's like, you would think,
no, I get what you're saying.
They don't give a fuck. And that's the bad part. It's something that just how do they not do that? It just doesn't make sense. We get tweets and stuff from the social media channels and posts that just don't really make sense, and they can't read the room, for example. You know what I mean? It's and I think it's just because it's literally CBS has their digital team or their social media team, and that's what they're focused on, and they just bounce on to the next show. And there's no one that's dedicated to Big Brother. Because to be honest, the Big Brother Instagram should be doing shit all year round. They should be having, stuff. The moment AllStars was announced, they should have been pumping out footage of all these different house guests that were potentials. They should have even had polls on Twitter. Even though if they didn't give a fuck about them, there's so many different things that they could have done to hype this up, or maybe even gauge the temperature. Where when, let's say they did a clip of Christmas and everyone was like, the fuck? And then it could have been like, oh shit, let's put on, Natalie or Michelle, or, get daycare for Vanessa so she could be in there, or do something. But it's literally like, okay, Big Brother's going to come on, let's pop it in there, and the fans are going to bitch and complain like they always do, and we'll make our money, and we'll give, some chump $500,000 and give somebody else $50,000. Also, raise the prize money. Like, come on, man. It's been the same shit for 20 years.
We're talking about that on Russell's show, and I was loving it because it really makes so much more sense, and I feel like, you see the Survivor Winners at War, they did $2 million instead of $1 million. I mean, that's something. And beyond that, I think they all got something like 40,000 to go. I don't know if that's a whole lot for someone who's leaving their job and shit, but...
So I'll put it this way. So you're making $150,000 a year. Yeah. CBS comes to you and they're like, yo, we want to put you on AllStars 2. Okay, what's the guaranteed money? Well, your guaranteed money is $40,000, but you could make up to $60,000, or probably shit. They probably can't go any higher than that because second place is still $50,000. Like, guaranteed money is $40,000. And I'm like, how am I going to leave my job, my career, my life for $40,000 when I got $35,000 for the first All-Star?
What?
Yeah, that's what the first one was, $35,000. You got $30,000 if you made it to sequester, and $5,000 for doing the first show. So everyone, even the people that didn't go in, got $5,000.
So that was what, like 15 years ago?
15 years ago. 14 years ago. So think about when someone like Danielle Reyes, myself, if it wasn't pandemic, if they're not coming with $75,000 or $100,000, why are we leaving our careers? Why are we putting our 401ks in jeopardy? If you leave your company to go on this show and you've, invested 5, 6, 7, 10 years with them, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go on Big Brother for $40,000. You know what I mean? You think they're going to want you to come back? Like, I was a director of marketing. You can't just replace that position.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to be like, oh, take 3 months off during our busiest time, and when you come back, we'll give you your salary and all your benefits, and good luck in there. No, they're going to be like, we're going to make sure no one in Vegas hires you either. Not to mention my non-compete was a year. So if I were to get $40,000 and then can't go back to work, I'm trading in a 6-figure salary for $40,000. And then internet stress, it's not worth it. They have to make an all-star season 30, 45 days, give them $75,000 to walk in the house, $250,000 to second place, and $1 million to first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And you will have everyone, with the exception of probably Dr. Will, going on that show.
Yeah, I heard you said that he's worth way too much to go back on that show. Plus,
he's a dermatologist. Why is he going to leave for that?
When you go on the show, you put yourself at such risk for, like, we were talking about this before, like, because it's live and whatever. People are like up your ass with like your reputation and like everything you say, nitpicking, like. I feel like that's the problem with social media during watching the show now. It's like, not to say that what you're doing is wrong, because it's fucking hilarious. Like, ripping on like Christmas, for example. Like, it's harmless, but like when there's people out there that actually mean it, like that's where I feel like it's not worth $40,000 to kind of ruin your reputation over. Even if you're not even doing anything wrong, the minute you go on that show, you're under like crazy scrutiny,
So Memphis is the example I keep using.
Oh, God.
A lot of people can't stand him. He's incredibly abrasive. Yes, so literally Twitter made up a lie that Memphis called David boy. And attacked his businesses, attacked his livelihood, essentially tried to take money out of his son's mouth for something that they created in their head. And the last show I just got off of, someone said, yeah, but, it seems like something he would say. And it doesn't, the thing is, people don't understand that President Trump is a perfect example. Everybody hates this motherfucker, all right? But when you tell me for 2 years that he colluded with the Russians and that he's a Russian spy, and then I find out that all these people testified under oath saying that, no, there was no collusion. All the people that went on news and said, oh, yeah, there's collusion. And then they said, no, there's no collusion under oath. Then you start to be like, you look at that person, you're like, this motherfucker, he just said some of the dumbest fucking shit ever. But if somebody is such an asshole, why do you have to make up shit about him? You know what I mean? Like, exactly. If Memphis is this huge fucking racist, why you got to make this shit up about him?
Exactly.
Because it makes you bad then, and it allows them to get away with other shit.
Yeah.
Why is he allowed to say fake news? Because there's a lot of times we find out that the news is telling us bullshit. And once again, you then validate someone who says really fucking dumb stuff, but then they can say, but I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. You lied. You just don't. It just perpetuates the wrong shit, and to go after his family over what you think that he said, and to go after his jobs for what you think he said, I guarantee you that behavior is probably the reason why you're not going to be able to get a lot of real all-stars on the next show.
Exactly. Honestly, yeah. I mean, I was surprised when I heard that.
TMZ broke that story when it was a fucking, the one where they couldn't even hear him say something. Yeah. And it's like.
I know. I saw that actually, and I'm like, I'm confused because I didn't hear shit. And not only that, then a bunch of people after on Twitter were like, I was reading comments and people were like, it's bullshit. It's not real. So yeah, I mean, like, props to anyone who does go on the show, no matter what, just because you're putting yourself in that, bubble of just being watched 24/7. And I mean, obviously that's the point of the show, but at the same point, like with everything that's going on nowadays, and people are just bored, looking to, troll anything they can. That props to them. But I wanted to bring up something to you that made me laugh earlier on in the season, and I think you might have retweeted it too. But this is just completely like different from like any of the bullshit we were just talking about. It's just like a funnier moment. David and Kaysar were talking in the backyard, and David said something like, "If you feel like you're a target, then you become a target," or something like that. And Kaysar's like, "Wait, what?" I just feel like someone like David, I'm sure he's a great guy, but obviously it's been said a million times, he had really no business being on this season. And I mean, at this point, I know that he's still kind of just out there because people are keeping him around because he's probably easy to win against, but he's not doing a terrible job now. I feel like he did a shittier job earlier in the season, and now he's kind of coming to his own. But something like that just made me laugh because, it
just
made
like,
no
what
sense.
The fuck? And when he asked about Veto.
Yeah.
When he asked about Veto.
Everyone said he was playing that up, though. And, it's like, well, is he? I don't know. But I've never played the game before. I feel like I could have done better than he did. How do you not, the one thing is, if you're going to be on an all-star season, how have you not watched any of the seasons beforehand?
Especially when you were sequestered especially when you were sequestered for 2 weeks with the chance to watch them and you didn't. David was, when I met him, I thought the kid was really cool, and I'm like, man, if he gets another chance, that'd be great. It's a shame that it was AllStars that gave him another chance. But right now, to be honest, he's one of our only hopes for this show being mixed up. If Kevin goes home this week, next week, obviously the committee will probably get head of household again.
Yeah.
Then it's like getting rid of David at that point would be stupid. That's the week you have to take your chance and go after an actual threat. So it could mix things up. I just don't understand because the Veto thing, we talk about playing it up. No, I definitely think that was legit because he's also the same person who thought that he could get people to believe that he didn't use that power on himself.
Yeah.
Like, yes, people have been putting you up every single fucking week and trying to get rid of you and mentioning how they want to get rid of you, but then one of them is going to use the power on you. Like, come on, man. Like, to lie in something that bad where there's no outcome whatsoever that's going to make you look
said
good.
it to Kevin. He said, "Did you use the power on me?" He's like, "Bro, I'm up on the block against you, you dumbass. Why would I use it on you?" I was just like, I don't know. That was... He's just some, like, comic relief for this season with all, like, the bullshit that's going on. He's just out in his own world, and...
I mean, we're being catfished by his Twitter account because his Twitter account is amazing, and we're all attributing that's what David's going to be like. And when he gets out, we're going to be like, wait, you're not the same person I met on the internet.
I saw a tweet from you. You were like, man, why couldn't the person running David's Twitter account be playing for David right now? And I was fucking dying because it's like, and they even, I think, acknowledged it and knew that, like, that was the truth because, man, another person I wanted to mention, just because I'm from Long Island.
Enzo.
No, he is not from Long Island.
He's not? Sounds like it.
Yeah, he's from Jersey.
Same shit, right? Just kidding.
Yeah, no, pretty much. No, him and...
Giants, Jets, same team, right? Yankees, Mets, all that's the same, right?
Yeah, no. That's why him and Cody are butt buddies. But who I was going to bring up, Nicole Anthony. She's another one who I felt like had no business being on this season. Kind of like ruined the season for me.
Luckiest Big Brother. Christmas and Nicole are two of the luckiest Big Brother people in history. I mean, Nicole, look how far she's made it, and she has done nothing. Nothing. Christmas has had 2 seasons of doing nothing. She's fallen in. People have given her victories. Nicole hasn't even had to have people give her something. You know, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it at all. And, you know, Nicole's got a lot of fans out there. I thought Paul should have beat her.
I was talking about Nicole Anthony.
Oh, Nicole Anthony.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on Nicole Franzel. That's what I was trying to say, though. I mean, like, listen, I can't stand Nicole Franzel, but the other one, Nicole Anthony, I was just trying to basically talk about the people that didn't deserve a spot on the show, if that makes sense. Like David and her kind of were both. And then I was going to get to people like, I guess Kaysar and Janelle, people that everyone loved, and then, unfortunately everyone came after them. No one would work with Kaysar. What frustrated me more than anything is that people kept saying, especially on the Superfans group, oh, Kaysar didn't try enough. He had chances. He could have worked with Tyler. He could have worked with this one.
Those aren't super fans. That's some ignorant shit.
No one wanted to work with him. Like, he tried. I feel like he had genuine conversations with Cody, and Cody was just like, yeah, definitely, bro. Immediately walked away. I was like, fuck you. So, I mean, in that sense, like, that's what was frustrating because, like, I mean, like, I'd say, like, you know, your whole alliance from Big Brother 6 are, like, some of my favorite players of all time, but, like, I feel like Kaysar is definitely, like, up there as, like, one of my tops, and I was so hyped to see him on. You know, just as I would have been hyped to see you on there. Obviously, I knew your situation. So to see him and Janelle on there was, like, gave everyone a lot of hope, and to see it just immediately fall apart and, like, for nothing that he did wrong, I just felt like, I mean, like, you know, and he was blamed for it. It was just frustrating as a fan because, obviously, it's just the same story for him over and over and over again. And I'm like, God damn it. 3rd fucking time.
He's at fourth time. 4th time he's been evicted. He was evicted twice in 6 for forced sequester.
Yes.
So he's like the Greek tragedy of Big Brother, you know. But yeah, whatever week that they were on the block together. The fact that, I mean, the show only showed them going up to, I think it was Cody separately or Tyler separately. I don't forget who the head household was, but I think that they should have gone together because they both have their strengths and weaknesses that they would have been able to like play off of. Only really early in this season when other alliances had a chance to branch out, and they would have had to win some sort of power. And that's the problem, is that no one has won shit, with the exception of the committee. And when that happens, you can't complain. We can sit there and say, oh, they've been targeting the minorities, or people of color, or women, or whatever it is, but no one else has won head of household. Like, what?
Davon was one question away, and she gave it to Christmas instead. That was the closest I feel like it was.
Davon got second. Janelle got second. Kaysar got second. Any one of those just wins that shit. A whole different season. And that's what's so tragic about Big Brother, because it literally is just, I think about season 6, when I answered that question wrong on April's head of household about how many days we've been in the house, and that's where I lost. I knew every other question. I knew the tiebreaker. I knew the final question. It's just that it's those singular moments that you can trace back to where you're just like, that's where we threw this fucking thing away. You can't plan on moves like, Howie nominating us, or the other stuff. But those moments that you have in your power to make it different and you don't, that's what I think bothers people the most.
Well, and that's what made watching you on your season great. Your first season, I guess 6, when you were constantly being targeted and you were just winning veto after veto and keeping yourself alive, because you were everyone's like, all right, well, James is gonna go if so and so gets HOH, and then you win veto and fuck up their plan another week. That's what made the game so exciting to get into, because you see these people, everyone's ganging up on this one guy and they can't seem to get him out because he puts his fate in his own hands and takes care of it, And in that sense, I mean, like, that's what kind of, like, I guess the original concept of Big Brother with, like, the veto and all that, that's what made it so fun, because it was like this game that just someone made up with all these different things that go into it, but it does feel like some sort of regulated, I don't know if you want to say sport, but it does feel like authentic. Before you had all like the crazy powers and shit, like again on the old school seasons where there was less kind of powers and more just twists. I feel like that's what people liked more, and now you don't see as much of that either.
The thing is, every person that went home this season had the chance to play for veto. No one's been backdoored, and they didn't win. And these are all people that I consider friends, people that I fucking love. But if you don't win anything, you can't complain about going home. I mean, that's just how it is. You can be the nicest person in the fucking world, but if you don't hit that free throw at the end of the game and your team loses, not the other team's fault for being better than you.
You gotta hit that Anthony Davis shot at the buzzer, or
no, you gotta hit that Tyler Hero or Jimmy Butler.
I know. I was waiting for that. Tyler Hero, man, he's incredible, by the way.
Bucket.
Yeah,
20 years old.
Yeah, and born in the 2000s. I mean, I just thought that was crazy to think about. I mean,
insane.
Yeah, but before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you, who do you think, if you had to blindly guess right now, is going to be the final 2/winner? Okay,
I really feel like Enzo is going to win this thing. That he's putting himself in the best position. My dream final 2 plays out like this. Kevin goes home this week. David wins head of household. Him and Memphis become this secret alliance like Danielle and Jason, and go to the end, and the entire house is fucking furious because nobody likes Memphis and nobody thinks David deserves to be there. And they have to decide between those two, and then David wins. Because that's the only way to save this season, is when everybody that we all don't like right now or hate are just they now have to deal with and feel like what we're feeling.
Exactly. It would be so appropriate for a season that took place during a pandemic in 2020 to end with David being the winner against
just someone. Let David and Memphis be final 2, and everyone's like, we hate Memphis and David doesn't even deserve to be in AllStars. what are we going to do? And then they'll now know what us fans have been dealing with for the past 2 months.
No, definitely. If they do a legend season, are you in?
You make it 30 to 45 days and you give us 75 to 100 grand to walk in the door, I'm in.
Done. Awesome. Well, listen, man, I would love to keep talking to you. I appreciate you giving me the time tonight. And
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
we hopefully somewhere down the line I can make this happen again. But for the time being, really appreciate you coming on here, and look forward to hopefully seeing you on that legend season.
Thank you, man. It was great meeting you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great meeting you too. And take care, man. And everyone, just wanted to say thanks, James Rhine, for coming on the show. And that's all we got for you tonight. So see you guys next time.